What's up, Lions fans? Welcome to Season 1, Episode 34 of the Lions Main Podcast. On this episode, we recap the 49ers game, give out our game balls, and then preview the NFC North Championship game against the Vikings. As always, thank you for your support. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Lions Main Podcast. The Vikings can go to hell.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.
Hey, a special thanks to Jim and George. Those two were holding it down while Drew and I were living in paradise for a few weeks. I think I said it to you. I think they told you guys last week, but I spent a little bit of time in Cancun for Christmas. Drew is in Hawaii. Sorry to humble brag right there, but shout out to you guys for holding it down. I know our listeners thoroughly enjoyed listening to you guys rant and ramble on about the Lions.
We did do that.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys holding it down. Hawaii was amazing. First time there. Just baking in the sun. You can't tell I got tan because I'm just
You're blending into the wall behind you.
I know. I can't even. Hey, did you get tan, Kane?
Yeah, I did. The light. You really can't tell.
He's blending in with the chair behind him.
I can tell you're sun-kissed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was brutal. I'm back in Michigan. I'm on the west side of the state. My sister's getting married on Saturday, so it's been kind of crazy. We're at like a rental Airbnb with all my family.
Yeah. Congrats. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm giving a speech, and I'm like so unprepared so far. So that's as soon as we get off, I'm like, I got to nail that down.
Well, I mean, you got ChatGPT, obviously, and so I mean,
when is the speech?
I do. So it's at the reception, but I'm welcoming everyone to the reception. So I'm like the first person that's like they're sitting down, and yeah, pretty much all I have prepared so far is that I'm gonna like clink my glass at the start, make them kiss.
Yeah.
But
Okay, but that's probably a good thing to go first because they have nothing to compare it to. It's not like you're following up somebody's great speech. You know what I mean? You get to kick it off.
Yeah.
100%.
That's true.
All the recent weddings, George and I have actually been to a couple weddings together recently, and there was one standout one sandwich in the middle, and everything after that's good, but like you can tell the crowd is not as hyped up as that middle one.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, you could
But
be
I
the
gotta bring
worst.
it anyway. Like
Also, if you
it's
stink,
my sister.
if you stink, people will forget because the people behind after you will have a speech.
Right. Right. Hopefully, you won't be the highlight or the worst part of the night. Hopefully, you just fit somewhere right in the middle.
Right.
That's like the way
So-
to go.
Over under 1.5 mentions of the Detroit Lions in my speech. What do you guys think?
I go under. I think
Under
you might
one.
say it once. So
I think I definitely am gonna bring it in at least one time.
Oh,
Twice is, we'll see.
if you mention Jared Goff separately, does that count as twice?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like it's Jared
Dan
Goff's a
Campbell.
harder like inside, but Dan Campbell's like that's an easy. I'm gonna try to channel my inner Dan Campbell like post game locker room speech while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Get everybody like ready to run through a brick wall.
Yeah, or like shockingly confused as to what the fuck's happening. one of those dang.
Yeah, what?
yeah, they can grit out
Yeah,
the
if
marriage.
I'm sure I don't care who's getting married. I don't care if they got one ass cheek and 3 toes.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I mean, even as a Lions fan, don't be bringing that shit into any speeches at my wedding. I'll say that. Keep that
wedding?
shit to the pod.
Yeah, as much as my family would probably love some of that. Honestly, my family would probably love that. My grandma might be wearing a Detroit Lions hat at my wedding, so
I was just thinking, I haven't been on the pod since we were all together, and I went to the Bills game. Obviously, you guys didn't, but we were pre-gaming at the bar. Had a good night after. I don't think Jim made it. Jim, so my whole family went to the game, and we were all there pre-gaming, and all of them are still talking about how many wings Jim ordered and ate by himself. He kept like asking, like he's like, "Hey, you guys want another order of wings?" And he was just downing them. And literally, my sister today was like, I can't stop thinking about Jim eating those wings and being like, eating them with. He's basically absorbing.
Yeah,
he
gets
does
those
it. He
fingers
does
in his mouth.
Yeah,
I get everything off the bone, baby.
Shout out to that night. Jim and his brother had to leave the bar early. They're both a little too drunk.
I didn't have to leave. I couldn't stand the game anymore. It was too painful.
No. Fair enough. Let's not go back to the past. Let's go to better times. So, better times. Well, first and foremost, everybody, I want to say Happy New Year to our listeners. I don't think I'd said that yet. So, Happy New Year. This is the first episode of Lions Main Podcast of the year. So let's make it a good one. So, on to bigger and better times. The 49ers game. Before the game, people were saying that this game didn't matter. And it didn't matter, in the grand scheme of things, but this was an NFC Championship revenge game, so you knew we were going to go out there and get ours. There's some other fans of other teams who they didn't know what we were going to do. We all know that Dan Campbell's coming out there, and they were looking to bite off some ass cheeks and kneecaps, or whatever the fuck he says. Like this, there's no doubt about it that we were not going balls to the wall. All of our starters were playing. It just wasn't an option. So we'll get into the synopsis a little bit, but overarching picture for me, this was the game. We have an amazing offense, very clearly top 5, top 4, top 3 maybe in the league.
Top 1.
Top 1 scoring. Top 1 scoring, right? But shockingly horrible defense in the first half. And then really bad defense in the second half with 2 interceptions. So getting into it a little bit. So in the first half, both sides traded, went back and forth, ended up in a Brock Purdy, silencing the doubters and running in a touchdown to bring the score to 21-13. The second half was a little bit better in favor of the Lions. We opened it up with a touchdown, tied up 21-21. Deebo Samuel, who looked like he was going to retire after the season, how shockingly bad he's been. He had a 5-yard TD pass from Brock Purdy to bring it to 21-28. Jake Bates hit a field goal. Amon-Ra touchdown, 31-28. Lions finally got the lead. We finished it off with a Jake Bates field goal and Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown to kind of seal the deal. They had a Dobbs touchdown late, but we kind of knew that. How the NFL is currently set up today, there was really not a chance that they were getting that onside kick. So, we had an excellent third quarter. I'll go out there, give some props to our defense for what you guys say, being tough between the 20, the 20 and 20-yard line, that middle field, but then being, a little bit tough. Being loose in the middle of the field and then being tougher as we get towards those end zones on the backside. So, sorry, voice crack. What were your guys' thoughts about the game? Did I say anything that stuck out that sounded a little weird? Or do you guys agree that it was just some shockingly horrible defense and some shockingly amazing offense?
So I don't know how much of a shock it was. I think we knew the defense was a little bit, weaker, so they could move the ball. And Jim and I had talked that San Francisco, they have, despite them being banged up, they have enough playmakers to move the ball. We knew our offense was capable of doing so, and it was just kind of a race. Is kind of where I was at. We had a few key takeaways which were clutch, but that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah, I think the first half was definitely super concerning. I think the second half, it was actually nice tightening up, a couple picks, good reds. The Josh Dobbs touchdown was bizarre. I don't know what happened there, but other than that, I thought it was actually pretty solid second half. And we get Anzalone back next week, another week where, you actually have 3 linebackers who are NFL long-term guys. Jalen Reeves-Maybin's our reserve linebacker as opposed to Ben Neiman. No offense to Ben Neiman, but he didn't have a great. He just he's a depth guy. He's not supposed to be playing this much. Same with Ezekiel Turner. Even Nowaski was a guy we like. He's a solid player, but he's definitely better as your 3rd, 4th linebacker right now. Not saying he can't get better, but getting Anzalone back, I think there would be market improvement because they were picking apart the linebackers. That's really where we struggled, was no pass rush in the linebackers. I think the secondary was not great, but it wasn't horrible, actually. If you really watched it, there was a lot of stuff over the middle, and there was a lot of stuff where, corners couldn't do anything about it. So Not a great performance. A little bit concerning going into against a really good defense that Minnesota has, but
Yeah.
I think we can be okay. Or offense, rather.
Yeah. I mean, think back to the Bills game. That's going to be the caliber of teams that we're playing throughout the rest of the season. If we don't outscore, if we don't get 1 or 2 turnovers, these games are gonna, honestly, as sad as it sounds, it's gonna be who ends up with the ball last. That's kind of what it's looking like to me, and I think this 49ers game just solidified that.
Yeah, I just to jump in, I think that this game honestly like gave me more concerns than like excitement, I guess. Just because, and I don't mean to be like the wet blanket, but kind of going off what's already been said, I think that in general, like turnovers, like I believe in like turnover luck, that it's that a certain amount of luck, like I can't remember which, if it was the first or second Kirby interception. I think it was the second that Purdy just sailed the ball, and like Curb was just in the right spot, and that was a major point in the game. And it's just like it felt like the first half of the season we didn't rely at all on turnover luck. Like, remember, it took a while to even get our first turnover of the season, or when they started coming in bunches. And so, I would be much more comfortable if like I felt confident that we could get a stop, but that's just not the case right now. And we'll talk about the Minnesota game and going into it, but it just felt, and we, it felt the last couple of weeks that we've had to score every time we get the ball,
Right.
to win. And we ended up doing that against the Niners. I don't, we didn't even have a single punt, which was sick. But, I don't know, when we face a tougher defense, and we'll see that, with the Vikings and a good defensive scheme,
probably the best, arguably the best.
Yeah. Are we going to be able to score
at will? Yeah. I mean, again, like, dude, this is fucking crazy. 14 wins, and we're talking like we don't know if we're going to be able to stop them going in. Like, it sounds a little crazy, and maybe I think we're a little wrong for it. I think that like the guys that we have out there, they've done a decent job, hence with this last game. But dude, it's still this is gonna be the true test to our season. You know what I'm saying? Like this next game, and we'll get into that. So let's not get into the details. You're gonna get me fucking riled up and going on a tangent. I just want to bring up like one of the funny points from this game. Do you guys remember the first quarter? 49ers are driving down in our red zone, and their veteran Jawan Jennings drives Terry Darnold. Completely unnecessary. Back into the back of the end zone, and then our boy Kirby Joseph, Zuper, goes and throws him into the stands. Essentially, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that Kirby should have got a penalty for defending his teammate, or do you think that's like bullshit?
We're always going to call that penalty.
Yeah, I mean that they're always going to throw that penalty against Kirby. And I'll say this: that pushing into the ground bullshit that he did against Terrion,
bullshit. Yeah,
that's that shit. Sometimes that would happen at practice. Back in the day, somebody catch you, you fucking fall to the ground, they're on top of you. You're like, dude, if you don't fuck off, I'm fucking gonna just get up and go crazy because
right.
It's embarrassing, and it's that will make you go mad too.
Another
especially
man
if they just got you, because they got you on the ground like that. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you got me. I'm blocked off the field. I'm off the field on the ground, fuck boy. So it's annoying. That shit is. So I mean, but the flag's gotta go. You gotta throw that flag.
It definitely like felt like Jennings was picking on a rookie. And yeah, I don't know, maybe this is a hot take, but I am okay with that Kirby penalty like 10 out of 10 times. Like, I want to see that. We see it often with offensive linemen defending their QB, and it's always going to, like, the flag's always going to get pulled on those, because it's a retaliation. Retaliation always gets flagged. But I don't know if you heard what he said in the post game, but he's like, that's my rookie. Only I can pick on him like that. And I was like, like, fuck yes. So it's like, And so I don't know. It obviously sucked to like give up the first down in 15, or I guess it was offsetting, right?
Yeah,
But they got another chance at it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm okay with it.
That actually reminds me of a funny time, Jim. This is for me and you. You remember when we were playing freshman football? This reminded me of that. And it was like that one of those. What's that piece of shit senior? That dude that had one testicle. What was his name?
God.
Dude, no.
No,
You don't gotta say the name. You don't gotta say the name.
I'm
Say the
being
name.
Fuck that guy. That guy always wanted to see me. Dude, he was like, me and Jim were walking to practice. And, anyways, so we're walking to practice. And he's like, hey, he sees me and Jim walking and goes, hey, McKillop, get the water, bring it out. He's like, bring the water out. And I'm like, he's not fucking touching the water. And he's like, would you fucking say Watlington? And I'm like, dude, what's your problem, bro? Some like douchebag senior. It was like, no one gets to pick on Jim but me. Fuck you. Get out of here.
One, go to hell. Number two, though, you're right. He not to go down tangent. He tried that shit several times where he'd be like, you gotta like you just like the old school shit. I was like, buddy, I don't know who you think. Like, I can't beat you up, but I'm just not going to listen to what you say. Like, you're not cool. You're not even that good of a player. Like, I don't give that much of a shit. Like, I'm not trying to be your buddy. Go to hell.
Yeah.
So I just hate when people try to like big man other people. Like when Juwan Jennings was doing that. I honestly liked the guy before. I thought, oh, he's cool. He's a third receiver on the 49ers getting a chance. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's some horseshit, bro.
What's funny is, and we'll have to bleep the name because I said his first name just like 2 minutes ago. But same dude was just, I mean, same way playing basketball. You know, being like, he was the guy that was like grab the waters, fucking rook, just being a fucking asshole. And
he's the reason people quit
he was
sports,
the thing
bro.
was he wasn't even good. He wasn't even good. Like I feel like I could have handled that if it was from like even a remote start, but the dude rode the bench the entire time in basketball, at least.
If the biggest badass on the team, the dude that was going to like a big D1 team, told me to do that, I'd probably go begrudgingly, yeah, whatever, fine. You know, like you can
not
tell,
that
like
guy, though. Yeah,
no, just some dude. No thanks.
Right.
Uniballer. No thanks.
yeah, not a chance. Fuck him. That's just funny though. I wanted to bring that point up. So,
he's only got one nut, so he's gotta compensate by being a dick. You know,
he's probably on them T pills, so he's T's flying through the roof.
He's over testosterone.
17 years old. His fucking T is doubled what a 17-year-old is supposed to be, which is already hot. So,
growing hair on his back.
He's balding.
Yeah, balding, growing hair on his back at like 16. All right. No, but I think this would be a great. Jim, you're typing.
Yeah. I'm muting.
Yeah, so no, I think this is going to be a recurring theme throughout this when we talk about the 49ers, when we talk about the Vikings, when we talk about anything after moving forward. But Kirby's 2 interceptions. I mean, we got to talk about what's it called, the white elephant, or is that the Christmas thing? The elephant in the room. Pro Bowl snub or what?
Wait, he wasn't on there?
You haven't seen the Pro Bowl list?
He's not on there?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I saw that, was it something like I saw that 19 Lions are in the top 5 of fan votes for their position.
Yeah, let me see.
Which is crazy. And like, I glanced at the list, but I didn't see that Kirby was excluded. I mean, he's leading the league in interceptions, so that's wild if he's not on there. But I wonder how much of the 19. I'm like, okay, Lions fans, the best fan base in football, but is it that we're coming out in numbers, or is it that the
other people are voting as well?
Yeah,
I think it's some of both, because I voted, and they give you like 5 options to select people for certain positions. So obviously for receiver, I gave one to Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I chose 4 other receivers to receive a vote. So I think it's just game recognizes game. But let me go ahead and read you some of these. So this is actually pretty interesting. So NFC quarterbacks. The starting quarterback is Jared Goff. Then you got Jaden Daniels and Sam Darnold, which they had standout years, but that's compared to Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow from the AFC, which is crazy comparison. You got Josh Allen and Jared Goff. No slander to Goff, but 2 starters. Running backs, you got Saquon as a starter, Jahmyr Gibbs and Josh Jacobs, Kyle Juszczyk, or whatever the fuck you ever say his name. He's the fullback. Receivers, it's pretty obvious. We got Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and then Scary Terry made the list. Tight ends, we got Trey McBride, who awesome tight
In a
end.
year.
Awesome tight end, but like dude caught 1 touchdown this entire season, which is pretty crazy. And George Kittle as well, who's, as we saw in the Lions game, still can do what he can do. For tackles, Lane Johnson, Penei Sewell, 2 starters, and then Tristan Wirfs. I think like Lane, dude, I can't speak super intelligently on tackles, but one of the I don't know how the Vikings. Like, I don't know. I can't compare like Tristan Wirfs to like the Vikings tackles. All I do is watch Penei Sewell, so I just know that they were having some standout years, so they might feel a little way going into this game. Offensive guards, Landon Dickerson, Tyler Smith, and Chris Lindstrom from the Falcons. Centers, Frank Ragnow, starter, and Cam Jurgens. So we got Frank and Goff starting. A little bit of
Hey,
there.
just shout out to one of our first episodes, whereas Frank Ragnow was left off the NFL 100 list.
Right.
Another
Right.
Pro Bowl under his belt. Like he's very likely or could be all pro.
Hey, if we win the chip this year, when we win the chip this year, dude could be a Hall of Famer. Seriously, you think about the Pro Bowls, you think about these selections, plus he gets a chip on his belt.
I know we talk about him
right
retiring, but he's pretty young for his age. I know he's had stacked up injuries, but
Banged up.
But he's still a young man. He's our age.
Super banged up. And then I won't go through the entire defense. I'm not trying to bore our listeners to death. All the defensive ends, they're the people you think. It's Nick Bosa, Michael Parsons. And then Rashawn Gary made it. Hey,
First time for the Michigan boy.
First time for the Michigan boy. I mean, but truthfully, if Aiden was still healthy, he would not be there. That is like an objective fact.
Has he deserved it? I mean, I feel like he was having a pretty quiet year to start the year. Did he suddenly turn it on when we didn't watch the Packers games or something? Because he doesn't seem... That's like a weird pick to me. By the way, only 10% I think I read online is the fan vote, and so it was the players and coaches that left Kirby off. Probably just out of...
Yeah. And so that's actually the biggest part. So let me just all the corners you think are the corners, strong safeties, Buda Baker and Brian Branch. That's our defensive guy, and then the free safety, one free safety. That's kind of the kicker, and it was Xavier McKinney. And then up until this previous game, him and fucking Zuber, Jesus,
Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby Joseph. They were like neck and neck.
That's your boy.
Like
you forgot Kirby's.
I just read like 60 names. So yeah, him and Kirby Joseph are pretty just like neck and neck in their stats. So I do think, Jim, to your point, that these probably the players did not vote for Kirby Joseph. There's some, for whatever reason, man. Bone collector, dog. I don't know. Pause.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a player, but I do think you even said this, George, and I keep reading this, that a lot of players don't actually don't get the chance to watch a lot of NFL outside of their bye week and the teams that they play like on film. And a lot of those teams, it's 1 week, so they might miss a guy, whatever, if he's injured or whatever. But man, if they're leaving him off because they think he's dirty, I think that's just a crazy narrative that took off, because I see plays like that every single week, and people tear their ACLs every week on crazy plays. And if they left him off because they don't think he's good enough, I think that's ludicrous, but at least that's, something I think...
A real reason? Yeah.
Yeah, real reason, but if they left him off because they think he's dirty, then...
What's crazy is this all just hangover from last year and, the Rams and Vikings games? Like, I haven't seen anything this year that I would deem, like, remotely like a dirty hit by him. I mean... But...
The league is a bunch of pussies, Drew. That's the answer. The league's a bunch of pussies. Fuck these players. It's always been Detroit. It's always been Detroit versus everybody. The motto has never changed. Fuck them all. We'll keep playing.
The other fan base is starting to turn on us on Reddit and Instagram, so it is Detroit versus everybody. Go to hell.
I mean, none of our players are going to be able to participate in the Pro Bowl anyway, so who gives a fuck?
Hey, true. It's gonna be a lot of replacements.
Right. I forgot. We actually have one more player, Jack Fox, as NFC punter. He's had
Starter.
like 3 games this year where he hasn't even punted the ball. So that might be some fan voting right there.
Yeah, but when he does punt the ball, he's ludicrous.
Yeah, he's electric.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. 1 week, I think it was like week 4, we said George and I were saying he might be our best player on the team. So
Right. Like best player, like all around. I think maybe
all around, like speed, rapid tackling ability. He's thrown quite
Line
a
him
few
up at
passes.
slot.
High school quarterback.
High school quarterback. Lastly, let's go ahead and just wrap up the 49ers game. So let's go ahead and get into our game balls. I'll go ahead and start just because it ties in, perfectly talking about the Pro Bowl. Jared Goff, Pro Bowl starter. He gets my game ball this game. Let me just go ahead and pull up the stats as we go ahead and list our players. Don't have him ready. It's a rookie mistake. So he had 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's like a standard Goff game this season. So just going to go ahead and give him our game ball. On the season, man, he's second in yards behind Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has been having a Peyton Manning season. So, he's right behind him. He's like 200 yards behind. And then he's 4th in touchdowns on the season. So I think Jared Goff deserves the Pro Bowl selection, the starting position in the NFC. And he also deserves my game ball this game. So excellent out of him. He's been a captain on and off the field. So, you guys, yeah, I think that's low-hanging fruit. I'll take that one.
Yeah, love it. I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in this game. It's all mainly on the offense, except for I think the one guy who we all know really stepped up on defense, which is Kirby. Terrion actually had a nice play or two, but it's got to be Kirby. He stopped that game from being a pure track meet. Maybe we get a stop on one of those drives or both of those drives, but he made sure that we got a stop.
Right.
It was the first pick, by the way, Drew, I think, where he sailed, because I remember rewatching it with George at the bar. And even that, yes, it was right to his hands, but so many times we see dudes screw that up. Now, obviously, that's not saying, let's crown him all pro because he made that pick. It's for an NFL player, it should be relatively easy, but people mess it up all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about him is if he has a chance to pick off the ball, it's getting picked off. A lot of guys, people say and I agree, there is a lot of luck because if they're not throwing balls that can be picked off, you're not going to pick off the ball, right? But whenever he's always in the position to make the play and he makes it. So he kept us, he basically put us in a position where we didn't have to run a track meet. We could get up by a couple scores and, kind of play a little bit more of a, just keep this game in check and win.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to call him lucky if he's leading the league in interceptions. You know what I mean? That's a playmaker right there.
There's some mean reversion, but at the end of the day, it is his mean reversion is probably higher than an average player because he's in the right spot at the right
100%.
time.
I see both sides. I don't think it's all luck. I just do think it's considerable, and you can't attribute all 9 to just his skill set. There was a couple of years ago, I can't think of the guy's name right now. It was Trayvon Diggs for Dallas. He had something he was leading the league in interceptions, but he all the PFF scores you watch the games and he's giving up big chunk yardage. It just and I think he still got all pro, and I don't think he won. He might have won Defensive Player of the Year that year. You can fact check me. He was in consideration for it. Now, anybody that watched the games was like, this dude is not that caliber.
He was getting torched,
I don't feel that way. Kirby's not getting torched. I just, would we be talking about him as, the second best free safety or the best free safety in the NFC if he had, 4 interceptions? And I don't know.
He's graded pretty high.
Yeah,
I know he is graded high, and so that's where I was. I'm kind of undecided.
There's some other advanced stats too, like quarterbacks when targeting him have a 44 quarterback rating, which I think is the lowest of all DBs, over a certain number of snaps, over a certain threshold. So like those advanced statistics, but obviously they get lowered vastly when you get an interception, right? Like
that's the thing. Like how what? And I don't know the advanced stats, well enough to to give you the answer, but I do think a lot of those stats are almost biased or
swayed easily, skewed by these stats,
skewed by the interceptions.
Yeah.
But if he has a 44% completion rate against him, and
no, was
QBR.
It was QB rating.
QBR, that is skewed by the picks for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I don't know. All I know is that I watch him, and he is rarely, if ever, is the guy that's getting burned deep. He rarely, if ever, is the guy that's giving up a big play. And I know he's not like he's not like a corner where he's always going to be in coverage one-on-one frequently. But anytime he is, he seems to be in position to make a play, and he's constantly coming up and making tackles in the run game too.
Can I bring up maybe another maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but I'm curious about the rest of our DBs play like almost entirely man, right? We play more man, and so I wonder how much Kirby benefits for being like the one guy that's not playing man,
the free,
and he's just be able to hunt, back there.
Yeah,
but that's a lot of free safeties, isn't it? Isn't that like the purpose of a lot of free safeties?
That's the position.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, you're right. You guys are both right. To Drew's credit, he's saying like sometimes the safety is tied to a specific man, a specific zone, like coverage. Whereas Kirby, we see him floating like almost freely at times, and
he's basically like a spy.
Yeah,
he's like a QB spy, almost.
Right? Almost like just a layer deeper
in deep. Yeah.
Like if you look at his second interception was purely him. Like I was trying to explain it to my girlfriend. I'm like, look at him right now. He's like literally the quarterback of defense. He's sitting back there, looking at the quarterback, look right, and he looked like he jogs and just jumps the like skinny post, and like he's being, what I mean, like he didn't even really move his feet backwards. He was able just to do his own thing. I think so. I mean, who knows what it is? Maybe that's just maybe that's the beauty of this defense that gives up 30 points a game. Once in a while, Kirby Joseph, gets to go be Superman.
Again, him and Branch are also awesome in the run game. So
right, and I love that point, Jim. That was a great point. They both come up, and it's obvious Branch does it right. I think Branch is second in the team in tackles. Kirby's third, and Campbell's first. I think that's how the stats go. Branch is obviously always doing it. He's come back down to that nickel position as well. But I love seeing when they go off tackle or they hit a sweep, and you see Kirby Joseph come up and shut that shit down at 3 yards. Like that right there is beautiful safety work. Yeah.
Well, let's jump back to the offensive side. I'll give my game ball, and it's Jamo, Jameson Williams. I mean, back-to-back weeks too. Obviously, like he had a huge game. I think maybe the best of his career against Chicago. A week and a half ago, whatever that was. But this week, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 77 yards, a touchdown receiving the ball. He had another rushing touchdown. I just think the longer the season goes on, the more I watch, I think he's the key player to our passing attack. Obviously, like I don't want to discredit Amon-Ra, but I feel like everything opens up with Jamo. Trying to defend him on a go route opens up that underneath. Yeah, it is impossible. But when you bring 2 players over, you bring that safety over to defend him. It opens up the middle for for Amon-Ra or Laporta.
You got me. I got you.
Jeez, Freudian slip there. I think he was the key in this game. I brought up the stuff at the beginning of the season with Jamo and I think he's a key re-signing that we need to make in this offseason. I mean, just looking ahead, because I think he is, so critical to our offense and will be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jamo.
Longest pass of the game was to Jamo, 41 yards. And
that's usually how it goes, though. That is usually how it goes.
Right. I just wanted to point that out, though. Even on San Francisco, they didn't throw a ball longer than that, because I've been seeing online people are saying that Jared Goff isn't throwing the deep ball as much. He's throwing check downs, all that slot merchant bullshit people keep feeding into.
Ignore that bullshit.
Longest pass of the game to Jamo, so they can shut the fuck up.
Yeah, people online, man, you just gotta ignore them.
Also, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, there are people that make sense or are saying things that really matter in the Lions main podcast, so ignore the rest of them.
No, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the hook and ladder, which was honestly got the offense going. It felt like was a pivotal point early in the game, and I fucking loved it. I'm gonna miss Ben Johnson so much, but yeah,
he's
credit
gone.
to Jamo for being faster than everybody else.
Whoa! You guys are wishing him gone already.
I didn't bring this up to you guys. Just talking about Ben Johnson, some of that masterclass. We ran a play and it was like a misdirection, and it went for like 2 yards. It was kind of like a bullshit play on a 3rd and long. We had to end up like I don't know what happened. We got like a field goal out of it or something. But on the play, Penei Sewell acted like he was running in reverse. And I was like, fuck you, Ben Johnson. Fuck you. Penei Sewell doing a fake reverse? Get the fuck out of here, dude. So, I don't know. Just some of that masterclass is just honestly hilarious when you sit back and look at it.
The bag is infinite. The bag is infinitely deep.
Infinite. Jamo was an amazing pick for the game ball. And he's coming into, he's hitting his stride. As much as our defense looks like it's wiltering and just getting by, our offense is fully hitting its stride. He's been phenomenal. Sam Laporta has scored in back-to-back games and looks like he's finally getting 5 to 7 receptions per game, hitting those underneath. So, dude, I'm excited. This offense is going to destroy defenses going into the playoffs. So, great game ball. George,
last thing I'll mention before handing it off to George is Jamo's 33 yards from his first 1,000-yard season, and that's having played only Lord willing, he'll play 15 games. But yeah, in 15 games, and he's cross our fingers going to hit 1,000 yards. That's impressive, and it feels like it's been the latter half of the season. Where he's really came alive. Yeah. Go ahead, George. Sorry.
He's a baller. I feel like even in the beginning he was balling, but I don't know. There's a lot of noise with all the bullshit that goes on in his life, so I think it's good. He needs this 1,000-yarder. But as far as my game ball goes, I thought this was this guy made the biggest difference compared to the other team. Jahmyr Gibbs, 18 carries, 117 yards. 1 touchdown. Great game out of our boy. Like we were saying, he needs to rise up. Monty's out. He's Sonic. He's the hero. Needs to be the guy to show up. San Francisco only had 75 rushing yards. Just to put that in perspective, they had 412 receiving yards. We had 303. So while they still had more than us, but we had, comparable high receiving yards. Ultimately, the rushing is what made the biggest difference on offense, I thought.
Yep.
And man, you love watching Gibbs run. I think all of us over these past couple games are we were talking about not having Monty, not having that temperature test when he starts with the ball. You're like, okay, this is gonna work. We can at least beat the shit out of him, type shit.
Right.
But we're kind of worried about not having that going into this, and I don't know. I think we got it. I think we still got it.
Yeah, I think Gibbs looks every bit a top 3 running back in the league, when dominating the backfield. So I like that game ball. He had a phenomenal game. Every game he's played this season, he's been phenomenal. And so
it's pretty fun to see. It's pretty fun to see him as an RB1. And just going back to the backlash Brad Holmes got for the pick, I don't know if we really talked about this season, where it's been obviously last season he broke out, but especially his last 2 games, seeing Gibbs as a true RB1. I mean, it's no one else in the league can do what he does.
Right.
I'm not saying he's the best running back. There's obviously Saquon's going for the record. Well, I guess he's going to be out, but he was in position to break Eric Dickerson's record. But the things Jahmyr Gibbs does, I don't think anybody else can do in the running back position. He reminds me of a little bit of Barry, to be honest. I mean, just the elusiveness.
Yeah.
And I'm ready. I feel like he always has, just a little peek ahead, he always has like a sick juke on Minnesota. Last year he had that one where he absolutely broke someone's ankles. This year he had another one. I think he caught something in the flat in the first game and
had a crazy cut.
So
cut that. Yeah. Broke his ankles.
So I'm ready for that. Bad day this upcoming week to be
Vikings safety.
Be an ankle on the Vikings.
Yeah, because Dan Campbell's going to be chewing on it. You're going to look down and Dan Campbell's chewing on your ankle.
Dan Campbell's going to be chewing on it.
You like that?
What the fuck?
Yeah, so I think something interesting. I think this was like the first game that we didn't have any injuries, right? Like there was nobody injured in this game.
Bears as well, but yeah, it's been a couple good hot streak of 2 games in a row. I hate to say it, I don't know what surface they play on in Levi Stadium. If it's grass, and I think Soldier Field is grass, maybe Ford Field is not. Maybe they need to look at putting grass in there. I know it's more expensive to do that, especially indoors, but they might have to grow grass somewhere and bring it in because that just feels like it's anecdotal. But the turf, there's always injuries with the turf.
Always.
Oh, it's not anecdotal. I was actually talking about this with I have a sports med professor maybe a month and a half ago, and I was talking to him about my own, tearing my own ACL, and I tore it on turf, and just the differences. And we together looked up all this data that he had helped, provide about, and it was something like 58% more likely to tear an ACL or to have a significant knee injury on turf opposed to grass. I think that they're from an NFL level, they need to do away with the turf and bring back grass, because it feels like the injuries are only increasing on a season to season basis, and it's disappointing.
How the hell are we gonna have grass in Ford Field in December?
I don't know.
They
can do it, man. They can do it. There's so much money. Like, they can figure it out.
Arizona's like moves in and out of the stadium. You couldn't do that in Detroit. Not enough.
Well, you roll it up. If you and lay it out.
Right, that'd be the way. But
what if you have it facing the wrong way? You gotta roll it back up.
George,
what the fuck?
you were a landscaper, right, George?
A landscaper? I planted flowers with your boy over there.
Jim was never a begonia boy.
I was not.
You don't know.
Well,
there we go.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good news, not having some injuries. But looking at the injury report for the Lions, pretty light. So Emmanuel Mosley, I saw that he was activated off of IR. Did he actually play last week? Did he?
Yes,
I didn't see if he got in the game at all.
He was in the game.
I saw him suit up. Yeah,
he was in the game.
So he didn't practice. David Montgomery. What is David Montgomery's deal? He declined the season-ending knee surgery. So what does that mean?
Just a little bit of ice. Relax.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it. Don't be a pansy. No, my understanding is he got it was a partial, I guess a very partial tear, which means you can continue to play on it. Obviously, it's I think a re-injury risk, but I don't think the MCL is as severe as an ACL. I mean, I think it's still severe, but like if you fully tear it. But I think the other thing is you're never promised to be back in the same spot next year.
Right.
And he's probably thinking this is my chance to, potentially go and help win a Super Bowl. So, hopefully it all works out. He comes back. There's no re-injury. and he can play with us through the playoffs. But I think it's just because it was a partially torn MCL as opposed to fully torn, so he didn't need to get the surgery.
Interesting.
I also think talk about business decision. He got paid earlier this season. This is his one, or could be one of his only chance to win a Super Bowl. Hopefully not, but I think that the last couple of weeks has just been about reducing the swelling and strengthening like the small muscles in the knee that can kind of compensate for partially torn MCL. But yeah, I mean, he got the biggest contract he's going to get for his career playing football, I'm assuming. And now it's time to go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. That makes sense then to me. So I was thinking, where the fuck is he? What is he doing? Like,
I think I've read divisional round is what he's eyeing. So
okay, good. No,
obviously that depends on how things go next week, and maybe it's a good time to jump into that preview. But
yeah, I mean, so let's get your mind right. All right, so week 18, 14-2 Detroit Lions, 14-2 red hot Minnesota Vikings. Both teams walk into Ford Field. Both teams think they're the best team, pound for pound, man for man in the league. They're thinking, fuck this other team. We're going to come out here and stomp them into the ground. And you know the Vikings think that. You know Kevin O'Connell thinks, I can out coach this bamboo. This baboon. This ogre of a coach who wants to go on a forward on fourth down all the time. I know I can outcoach him. You know Sam Darnold's thinking, see, I knew I was this guy, Pro Bowler, snub. I should have been the starter. Why am I not in the MVP conversation? You know Sam Darnold's thinking those things. You know Justin Jefferson is thinking, I average 140 yards against these buffoons. Most all time that a player has on an opposing team. You know Aaron Jones' hairline on the back of his neck is fucking thinking, well, I just went out there and handled business with the Packers. Let me handle off these pesky Lions and get down to it. And now that leaves the Lions. What are the Lions thinking, George? What are we thinking, George? What's Jared Goff thinking? It's going to be a tough game. I think we got it. Is that what he's thinking, George?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the team thinks that they have it. I think they're a little worried. You know, teams coming into Detroit, got to go to Ford Field. They got to play against, 10 Pro Bowlers or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're worried. No, fuck no. Are you shitting me? We're going to fuck them up. I don't give a fuck. Like, I get they're good. They're this, they're that. You kidding me? Sam Darnold, and I may be eating my words eventually. They're a good team, sure. Fuck them. We beat them once. We'll beat them again. Kevin O'Connell? Is that his name?
Kevin, yep, that's his name. That's the coach.
KOC.
That's the coach, yeah.
KOC.
But he's getting a lot of credit for good players. That's what I'll say. Sheesh. Him and fucking that defensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Brian Flores?
Yeah.
Brian the dog.
Brian has no idea how to call a defense. Relies on good players to make all those decisions. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be just fine.
I have to step in.
Go ahead then. Let's hear what you got to say.
I think it's finally time to put respect on Sam Darnold's name. I feel like everybody in the NFL has discounted this Vikings team, myself included, talking about when is he going to turn back into a pumpkin. Well, it's been 16 fucking games, and he's played pretty damn well. They're 14-2. Unlike George, I think that Kevin O'Connell is the coach of the year and the second best coach potentially in the NFL.
Why coach of the year? Why coach of the year though?
Because he took Sam Darnold. He's a QB whisperer.
Yeah, he taught Sam Darnold
who
so
was
much,
the dude,
bro.
The ball
he taught
dude
him
last year.
Dobbs.
That he made look good. Yeah, Josh Dobbs. And now Sam Darnold's playing like an MVP candidate. He's liable for one bad pass or stupid throw a game, But in the last game I was watching against the Packers, he had that really bad. I think he threw a pick and came down the next possession went 6 for 6 and scored a touchdown. And so that is like evident of in my eyes, like, a quarterback that can win a tough game. I'm not going to call Sam Darnold elite. I don't know, but he's absolutely playing like he's elite.
So are you saying he's in his Geno Smith era? You spend your first 8 years of your career getting tossed around like George Haid on a Saturday evening, and then you finally find your groove with one team.
What's crazy is like all these guys that are respected, like coaches in the NFL, have talked about like loving Sam Darnold and what he brings. Mm-hmm. He was with Shanahan last year as a backup, and like, I don't know. I think he's legit. I think he's real deal, and I think it would be stupid if the Vikings move on from him. Maybe they franchise tag him. I mean, just looking ahead, obviously they got JJ, but I think he's won 14 games. He's won 14 games.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
And he has his team in a position to take a 1 seed. And so I think it's gonna be tough, man. I think it's gonna be tough.
I don't know. I don't think his story is going to end as pretty as a lot of other awesome stories for comebacks with quarterbacks. His story ends with, do we start the new guy, J.J. McCarthy, over this guy? Fuck that. What do you think?
Yeah.
Kick rocks, buddy. You're on a new team.
You do. Hey, George, you do know a thing or two about comebacks, so.
Hey, you said that, not me.
Fair enough.
What do you think? What do you think about the Vikings? Are we worried? I mean, we should. I mean, they're obviously, this is the hardest game we have to play with the most on the line. It's written in the stars. Everything is set up for.
When I really think about it, I'm with you. Fuck those losers. We're gonna beat the shit out of them.
I like that.
As good as I'll tell you this, and I think Drew's gonna talk a little bit about their defense. But as good as their defense has been, they've only seen an offense this good one time this year. Is when they played the Lions in their home, and we beat their ass. So I mean, they haven't seen an offense that's firing with Sam Laporta and Jamo the way they are now. I think it's obviously going to be high scoring. The Vikings are going to score over 28 points. That's a guarantee. I'll put my money on that. But the Lions might score over 42 points. So, I mean, I'm with you, George.
By the way, the Vikings defense is good against the run, and PFF isn't everything because sometimes PFF pisses me off when I read it. But they don't have like one true like stud on their defense. They have like who's their stud? They have like a bunch of really good players. They do not have a Kirby Joseph.
Murphy's pretty good at corner.
He is not on Kirby and Brian Branch's level. He's just not.
Van Ginkel, he's good.
Van Ginkel's pretty good.
Again, we're talking about really good players. We're not talking about game record players. They don't have a game record on defense. They have
Drew, do they?
Well, yeah, I guess I like that, Kane. Nice transition there. I do think it's worth noting. Blake Cashman, he was absent in our first game against the Vikings earlier this year. He's their green dot guy. He's there. Jack Campbell, Anzalone, and he streamlines their defense. Really good against the run. Really good dropping into zone coverage. If you recall, with the Vikings games that you've watched this year, they love to load the line of scrimmage and disguise their blitzes. And a lot of times they don't bring anybody, even though there's, 7-8 guys up on the line.
Yeah.
Worth noting, Minnesota's 13-0 this season in games he's played. Like I mentioned, he missed the game with a toe injury earlier this year. But he leads their defense with 104 tackles, 63 solo. He's got 10 hits on the quarterback, 4.5 sacks, and I think the stat that stands out the most to me is in games with Cashman, opposing offenses have 23 less rushing yards per game. It's something like they've got 83, with him, and like 106 without. So
Yeah.
I do think that's a key matchup to with Jahmyr Gibbs and the rushing attack to see if Cashman
Makes a difference.
I think he will.
I think even more importantly than Cashman playing this game is the fact that Alex Anzalone is going to be in the game. If you looked at our weaknesses over the last 2-3 weeks, purely the center of our defense. We were signing and cutting guys left and right. Like I think all the guys we signed from 2 weeks ago have officially been cut with the addition of these injured guys coming back into our roster. I think Anzalone coming back to that center of our defense, it's good. I don't want to say a night and day difference, but last week we were thinking it's going to be borderline impossible to make a team go 3 and out. We have to get an interception. So you might see quite a few, at least 2 3 and outs. I'm not going to say quite a few, at least 2 3 and outs out of the Vikings. And so that's going to be pivotal. I mean, if Cashman and this defense, and they are one of the best defense in the league, they have the ability to shut us down on 1 or 2 drives, then we need Anzalone and Jack Campbell out there to do the same as well. So I think it's going to be tough, high scoring. I'm hearing everything you're saying, Drew, but nothing about their defense scares me. That's just it. Like
their linebackers are good.
They're good. The outside, the interior, the safety.
Their scheme, though. It's their scheme.
But
and we put 31 points against that scheme.
But other than blitzing Jared Goff up the middle, which we all know is what teams are going to try to do, like nothing else scares me.
Jim, I hear your point about 31 points, but that's less points than we've put up against most other teams.
It's about very close to our season average, actually.
Is it less
I'm telling you, that team has a good defense. The Lions have a better offense. We've scored 33.3 points on average. They held us to two points below, a field goal below. So what does that mean to me? And by the way, that's with the Lions, that ridiculous fake punt, which, sometimes Dan Campbell does things that are just ludicrous. That was absurd. And that uncharacteristic fumble by Monty, I believe it was by Monty, that was returned for a touchdown. So there's a couple of giveaways, a couple of quick opportunities for them to score, but we responded every time. Like when we were down 10-0, we came back and scored 21 straight against that defense. That's the thing about Ben Johnson is Brian Flores runs a good defense, but Ben Johnson is going to adjust to the flow of the game. It doesn't, we don't always win as a result. Obviously, we've lost games before. It's not like we're going to win every game, but if there's one team that I feel comfortable saying, hey, they can figure out defense. The issue lies in what Kane was saying, which is we need to get a couple stops if they're able to get a couple stops, because some teams are able to get stops. The Vikings will inevitably stop us on at least 2 drives, so we need to do the same. But I'm not tweaking about their defense because I think they have a good defense, but if you really look at it, it's way more heavily weighted towards being a really good rush defense. Their passing defense is actually pretty bad in terms of yards allowed. So if the offensive line is able to give Goff time, which they should be able to, and Goff has actually been a lot better under pressure this year, I think he can pick that defense apart. Are they going to score 45 or 48? I don't think so, but I'm not worried about it the same way other people are.
Drew, question for you. Can Brian Flores guard the hook and ladder?
Nobody can guard the hook and ladder.
Then I think we need to talk about the other side of the ball. You know what? Truly, this is like, when like it would suck to be like a fan of Iowa or the Steelers sometimes. Your team wins a game like 9-6, and it's like no scoring, and it's just field goals. We have like the exact opposite. If you go take a piss, it's going to be a 14-point swing in some direction. Both teams are going to be scored at some point or whatever. And so with the Vikings, dude, TJ Hawkinson didn't play last time. He's back. Addison, I think he played, but he had some injury woes throughout the year, in and out. He's fully healthy. He's hitting a full stride. He's looking like receiver one on 15 other teams in the league. And then I fear to even mention his name. The number 1 receiver in the league. You can say Shamar Chase. You can say Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have the number 1 receiver in the league.
Thanos.
I don't know.
Addison's look good.
There's no way. There's literally no way we can defend them. And I know I sound like a pussy right now.
What the
There's
hell?
no way we can defend that offense for 4 quarters. We need 2 stops and say, let's go score 35. Let's go score 35 and stop them twice.
I will say, the last time we played them, the only players that we had missing that we're not going to have, which is huge, that there's a huge flip of them getting Hawkinson and us losing McNeil and Carlton Davis. That being said, the last time we played them, we gave them 1 short field on,
Fumble, yep.
again, not even the fumble, which was a touchdown, but the ludicrous 4th down fake punt.
Oh, yeah, geez.
So we gifted them essentially 14 points, right?
Yeah.
Their offense, while missing Hawkinson, of course, was relatively held in check. And I do think Hawkinson's good. I do think they're going to put up. I think it's going to be a little easier for them. But if what we really need to avoid, because I think they will score mid to high 20s, I think we really need to avoid Dan Campbell. I love you. Please no fake 4th downs on our side of the field, especially if it's in the first quarter. I don't care about sending a message. Don't do it. And second of all, because we're bend don't break defense. They might not go 80 yards. And the second thing we can't do is turn the ball over. So Jared Goff needs to be crisp. We need to hold on to the ball, because if we can take care of the football, I think we can hold them to the high 20s, low 30s. I don't think they necessarily, we don't have to live and die on every single literal possession.
Yeah. 1 point, I love Jack Fox as much as you guys love him. I would rather, if we're going to go for it on 4th down in our own territory, like 4th and 4, just put the offense back out there and let Jared Goff, let Ben Johnson drop a play and go. Don't do that fake punt shit. That's you got players with numbers you've never seen before out there, like trying to make a big play. You're like, oh my God, bro. Who is Jack Fox throwing it to? Who is that? Jamar Jefferson? No, get him out of the game. Get him out of the game.
The last one was a stupid play. Wasn't it like we put Germ in motion and we handed it to him?
And there's no fucking motion on a punt. Like,
right.
Ever.
It's like, well, the surprise is gone. Everybody's watching that fucker.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I think, like Jim said, that very first Vikings game, I think we made them look better than they were with how much we gifted them. Because that fucking fumble was, we're all doing the, no way that's real, no way that's real.
That was the luck that Drew's talking about. Like, Monty never fumbles, and that was like a horrible fumble in a position where 3 of their guys could scoop it, and he has like an entourage to block towards the end zone. That was like one of those lucky turnovers.
One last fun stat for you about their defense, even though I know we're on their offense. We put up the most points on them all season. There's only one other team, I think, that scored 30 points or more on them. So they have had a good defense. But they have played a murderer's row of the Giants, 49ers, Texans, Packers twice, Jets, Rams, Colts, Jags, Titans, Bears, Cardinals, Falcons. So they've played the only good teams they've actually played and not given up a bunch of points to. I mean, you could argue if the Texans are even good. They let up the Packers put up 29 the first time, Lions put up 31, Rams put up 30, and then even the Cardinals put up 22, not a ton, but and the Kirk Cousins disaster Falcons put up 21. So they have a good defense, but when they play the best offense in the NFL, I think they're gonna, they're gonna be good, but they're not gonna be shutting us down the whole game. And I think vice versa, we'll just have to, hold them in check, like you said, Kane.
Yeah. Drew, you're always just a little uneasy about these games, man.
Well, yeah, I am the wet blanket. I understand that. I've been anxious. I was watching the game with my parents, the Niners game, just like anxious about not being able to stop anybody. But I do think, the last thing I'll say about this game in particular is obviously we know that not only in division but the conference and the playoff bye is all on the line. I was just doing some research earlier, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So in the Super Bowl era, the number 1 seed, and this is in either division, the number 1 seed has made the Super Bowl 55.1% of the time. But number 5 seed, which is what we'd be if we lost, has only made it 3.3% of the time. Obviously, like, it's just a stat, but I thought that's huge. I mean, that's over a 50% difference, and that's.
I got one question on that. That's massive.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many times has the 5th seed been a 14-win team? 0.
It's a good point.
Never in
It's
history.
a good point. I mean, and I am I'm hesitant to put all my eggs into this game,
Yeah.
because you can fact check me on this, but I believe if we were to get the 5 seed, we'd play
Tampa.
either. I think it's in order of likeliness, it's the Rams, the Bucks, or the Falcons if they somehow sneak in, and then I believe, and this is where I'm, it obviously depends what happens in the wild card round, but I believe we'd get a matchup against the Vikings again in the divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, if we get the 1 seed and the Vikings are there, it's likely that we'll see them, with the trip to the NFC Championship on the line in a few weeks. So, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't think any of those teams that I mentioned are of the caliber that can beat us. I say that even though the Bucks beat us, this year.
Right.
I think we
shouldn't have
that's
lost
a game
that game.
we handle, but right. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think it's just another huge measuring stick game going into the playoffs, just to see where we're at.
Yeah. What's the Lions' road record? Anyways, we don't have to worry about that though. Isn't that a little scary that our home record is way worse? Way worse than our away record.
It would be if you don't think about the fact that we played probably the toughest team of our schedule. No offense to the Vikings, so as much as I make fun of them, are a good team, obviously. The Bills, I mean, Josh Allen went nuclear that game. And then the Bucks was weird. That was a weird game.
Dan Campbell made a few weird decisions in the beginning of the season.
Late game. Yeah.
He did, but I mean, you shouldn't even be there. I mean, we outgained them dramatically, and we let up some points. We left some points on the board.
Matter.
I think Ben Johnson. Well, that's sometimes they don't matter truly because against the Titans, we're playing with such a massive lead and just letting them move the ball 30 yards and then they have to punt it. So that, yes, but some games, stats do matter. I mean, we should. Anyways, not going to get out. I've gone on tangent, but I think it's encouraging that we just go on the road in any environment and just beat people.
Yeah. Real quick, before we get into our player prop bets, who's your guys' MVP of the season so far? I mean, Goff and Darnold in that conversation?
Of the Lions season or of the NFL?
NFL MVP.
Well, I think we started talking about this offline a little bit, but it feels like a 2-man race right now between Lamar and Josh Allen. I think Goff he's kind of sat at that 4th in betting odds behind those two and Saquon. The sneaky one, which will be interesting, is Burrow. So if for the listeners, if you've been paying attention to the NFL as a whole, obviously Joe Burrow's having a crazy season. I believe the Bengals are 8-8 currently. They've had to have a couple crazy things happen the last couple weeks for them to even have a chance. Going into Week 18, I believe so the Broncos have to lose
to the Chiefs,
and they're to the Chiefs against Mahomes is sitting, so it's going to be Carson Wentz. So we'll see. And then I believe the Dolphins also have to lose. And then Bengals have to win, and I can't. The Bengals are playing who? Are they playing Pittsburgh? Yeah,
Steelers. Yeah.
So obviously that's a tough game to win. But I kind of would love to see it, especially just as it doesn't really affect the Lions until potentially the Super Bowl. But I want to see Joe Burrow, get in the playoffs. He's having a crazy, crazy year. And I think that if they do get in, he absolutely deserves MVP.
Right.
It's been something crazy, something fun I heard. So he absolutely deserves MVP. He's not going to get it because just the way it now works is the MVP goes to the quarterback of the 1 or the 2 seed, whoever had the best season. But But
Thank you, Lamar.
if he were to win it and the Bengals were to miss the playoffs, it would be the first non-playoff MVP since Barry Sanders in I forget what year. I think it was 89.
95. 89.
Or something like that. I don't know. I don't know about the year, but he was the last one to win it. I think the Lions had gone 9-7 that season, missed the playoffs, but it was kind of a fun stat. But
That's interesting.
It's probably gonna be Lamar, I think.
The NFL. So Lamar has the opportunity to do to Josh Allen. Wait, Josh Allen has the ability to do to Lamar what Lamar did to him last year. So Josh Allen's stats last year were crazy. They were kind of looking like Burrows were this year, but Lamar was the winningest quarterback on the winningest team. He had 1,500 yards less passing. Obviously, less rush. He had more rushing yards, but the stats weren't even comparable. And then Lamar ended up winning it. So Josh Allen has the ability to do the exact same thing, right? Be the winningest quarterback on a team with more wins, and take that from Lamar, who has better stats. I think, though, as NFL fans, we deserve for Joe Burrow to make the playoffs. We need Wentz. We need a Wentz one good game of the year game. We need who else? The other team, Dolphins, to go ahead and lose. They have Tyler Huntley playing. Just fucking lose. We don't want to fucking see you in the playoffs. And we need to see Joe Burrow 7 seed go to Buffalo 2 seed and watch an 800-yard performance from these two MVP candidates. I think we all deserve that as Lions fans. So, and if that happens, Joe Burrow's getting that NFL MVP. So I would love to see that.
I mean, just as fans of football, you got to be rooting for that
Burrow
Bengals-Bills
versus
matchup.
Allen? Let's go!
Go Broncos, baby. No, I'm just kidding.
Where are you talking about? Bo Nix versus Allen? Let's go!
All right. Let's continue this narrative. And Burrow marches into Buffalo, beats Josh Allen and the Bills as a 7 seed. Where is he going next?
Kansas City, baby.
Kansas City.
Burrowhead, baby.
Going to
What's that face he does?
Burrowhead.
What's that face he did? He's like, remember that face that he had on the... Yeah. Hell yeah. I would love it. And then goes
then we spanked the Bengals in the Super Bowl. We spanked those pussies.
Wait, we would score no less than 65 points on them.
That's what I'm
It would be a track meet. It would be a track meet.
But then you would have to go. So we'd have to go to Buffalo, Kansas City, and then Baltimore.
Ooh.
The path of hell. The path
and
of hell.
he's got it. This is essentially Week 18 for Cincy is basically a playoff game in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pittsburgh.
I actually don't know. I don't know if it's in Pittsburgh, but against Pittsburgh.
They're still technically playing for the division title too, so they're not going to – I don't think they're rushing their stars. I could be wrong on that. But, yeah, I don't think their defense is cheeks, McGee. Burrow's awesome, but their defense is so cheeks that I think whoever they play in the first round, they're going to get walloped.
Fair enough.
If they make it. They're not even going to make it. Let's be real. I mean, I hope they make it. I hate to be – now I'm being the wet blanket, but come on now.
Fair enough.
It's going to be the Broncos. They're going to get slapped by the Bills, and then it's,
Is it warm or is it cold out, Jim?
It's cold. You're about to say something.
Bro, season, bro. Come on.
Okay, all right.
I got George hype about Burrow. Look at it. I got him hype. He was like, I was talking.
You got me excited for watching some football, baby. This got some good games coming up. Holy shit.
Yeah.
The playoffs, these playoffs are going to be a fucking bloodbath, bro. Holy shit. All the teams that are in them. Oh my gosh.
It's going to be good.
Even on the NFC side. I know it's mostly north, so we're all just kind of like, but oh my gosh.
There's no worse situation for that 4 seed in the NFC that they'd have Minnesota or Detroit come into their home. Imagine if it's the Falcons and they get Minnesota or Detroit. Oh, no less than 65 points. How
lovely would it be for somehow them to pull off a win against Minnesota?
That'd be
great. I'd be screaming for joy.
Me too.
I'd be jumping up.
They somehow beat Minnesota. The Packers lose to the Rams, and the Commanders lose the Eagles. When we get to play the Falcons in the second round,
the
divisional round.
And then who do we play?
then we'd probably play the Eagles. But
No, that's what happened last year, right?
That is
With
what
the Bucks
happened.
making it.
yeah, but it was a little different because the Eagles were fading fast, and
Right.
I feel like the division winners last year were better across the board outside of the NFC North.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles this year are comparable to like the Cowboys last year, I'd say, in the regular season. I'm not saying anything about the postseason. But then you had the Rams. The Bucks were pretty good, I thought, and the 49ers were really good.
Right. No, I agree with you.
But should we get into some picks now?
Yeah, actually, that's what I was looking at. So
Do we want to do a score prediction?
Yeah, let's do them both.
What do you just?
I got Squid Game to watch.
We'll do a score prediction. Let's do just because I'm looking at them right now. Let's go ahead and do these picks. So Drew, you go ahead and go first since you've been gone for a while. I'll go second since I've been gone for a little while. Then we'll go Jim, then George. So did you already have your pick?
Since I got my pick.
What the hell? All right,
I got my pick.
I got mine too.
And it's been a while. It's been since week 14 since I made a pick. And we'll have to figure out what to do about all our makeups, but it was a bad pick. Give me Gibbs anytime touchdown.
What are the odds on that? Fuck you. You can't do no.
That's not one you can choose, is it?
You can't do that one. Fuck you.
I love that. You can't do
can't.
that.
Gibbs anytime touchdown. Let me see this shit. What is it? What are the things
Go
on
ahead
it?
and choose some over-under bullshit.
Yeah, you gotta choose
Get
something
the
that's
odds.
like close to.
Come on.
Hell no, you can't choose no Gibbs. Let me see. I don't even know how to find this. All right, pick another one.
Give me oh dang. Well, no.
It's all good.
All right. Give me
It's not good, he says.
Give me Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison over 64.5 receiving yards.
Did you? I think you chose this one last time.
No.
Yeah, no, I think
Did
you
I?
said last time. You said that.
I think that was me that chose
That's
Jordan
you.
Addison over.
Oh, you guys look alike, so
Yeah, we look exactly the same. By the way, it hit.
yeah,
It did
it hit. Oh, this is gonna sound absolutely crazy because I had mine, and then I think I want to change it because I was gonna take the over Justin Jefferson over because he's averaging like 140 yards against us every game he plays. And his over sitting at 91.5, 92.5 now. But you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not like you. I'm better than you. Jameson Williams over 57.5. He's gonna get to 1,000. He knows. They know. Goff knows. Don't talk to me about Stafford.
I
Don't
kind of
talk
wish
to
I
me about
picked that.
Stafford.
I kind of wish I picked that.
Damn. If you didn't, I was going Justin Jefferson. So I think you guided me to this decision.
No, I picked Addison.
Addison. So yeah.
Not
if you didn't pick Addison, like I'm not going to pick Jefferson if you pick Addison. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Who's up?
I can go since George.
Yeah, come on.
I'm last,
Come on.
I thought.
Oh, okay, Coward. So I'm conflicted here. I really want to beat Kane, and I think I'm basically 1.5 away now. And I have a pick that I think is going to hit, but I have another pick that would be more exciting if it hits. I'm going to go with the one I think is going to hit, and I think that's Sam Laporta over 50.5 receiving yards.
Oh, I like that. I'm a big Laporta
He's been
guy.
coming on a little bit at the end of the season. I think there might have been some lingering issues earlier in the season. I think him and Goff had some weird chemistry earlier this season. Not like personally, but like, play-wise.
Play-wise, yeah.
And I think he played a lot banged up last season and early in the season even, and I just think he's finally kind of coming into his own here at the end of the year. Had a good game against the Bills. I mean, everybody did, but had a good game against the Niners. He's had a couple good games recently, so I like him to have a good game, and I mean, I just like our whole offense to have a big game. The one I almost picked Gibbs, his over. It's something ridiculous, but
90 something.
yeah, the reason I didn't is that Vikings are a better rush defense than pass defense. But Gibbs did have a big game against him the first time, and he's been awesome the past couple games. So who knows?
And Georgie, finish it off, buddy.
Okay, I'm going to take Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Clean.
Good choice, pal.
He's got to throw 2 touchdowns? Go.
Simple.
Hey, so I can't pick Gibbs, but he can take a minus 220.
Yeah, wait a second. Minus 220 is pretty like.
Isn't it over-unders?
Yeah, but like.
I feel like all right, if you can't have something that's 2-1.
I feel like Gibbs
1-2.
anytime. Yeah, that's a 1 to.
But that's what his over/under is set at. Like you can't. That's not an alternate line, and we've done that before.
Yeah, like anytime is.
Fine.
I'll give it to him.
Fine.
I'll give it to him just because it's over under.
What about like interceptions? We've done those in the past. It's the same type shit.
Yeah, whatever. It's just minus 220.
She and Hamoud.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in. I'm locking it in. Putting 15 on it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Quick score prediction, and then I got a jet. I got to get back to
quick
the
score
fan.
predictions. Let's see real quick.
Reverse
the
order?
line
Want me to
score?
start?
Yeah, if you got it, dog, let's get it.
Yes. Lions 34, Vikings 31. High scoring, close. Fuck 'em.
Real quick. I'm gonna have you repeat that. The line is minus 2.5 for the Lions, and the over under is pulling it up is 56.5 total points.
Okay. Lions 34, Vikings 31. Hits the over.
Cover, and we get the over.
Yep, whatever all that is.
And money line. All right, your first order, Jim. What do you got?
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's right. I do think it's gonna be high scoring. I don't think we'll cover, but I think we'll win. I think 31-30, last minute Jake Bates field goal. I think they'll score more times, but I think our bend don't break defense will bail us out a couple times. And I think so they'll score about 6 times, we'll score 5 times, and we'll kick the last field goal to win.
Wasn't that the score of the last game?
31-29 was the last game.
31-29. Jake Bates sent them off.
He
All
sure
right.
did.
I'm going to go. I don't think we cover. I think it's going to be 35-34 Lions. Hit the over. We don't cover. And then Drewski.
All right. Give me a scoregami to end the season.
Ooh.
And the regular season. 44-36 Lions. It's a scoregami either way, but I'm picking the Lions to win.
44-36.
44-36.
Stamp it.
Smash
I
that
like
over.
that.
Smash that over.
I prefer that score.
Yeah, by far. If we win by 8, even better.
I like.
I don't think we punt.
Woo!
I don't think we punt.
What was all that talking about the defense?
Well, just because we don't punt doesn't mean we don't go for it on 4th downs. So Dan Campbell's not punting.
True.
All right, fellas.
All right, yeah. So I think this was a good episode. You guys have anything else to add before we log off? No. Fuck the Vikings. Let's go win the division. 1 seed, it's ours. Thank you, listeners, for listening to this episode of the Lions Main Podcast. You guys can find us on all the platforms that Jim said at the beginning of the pod. Please follow, please comment, please like, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Oh,
Shout out
and
to Lions.
wish my sister a happy marriage.
Happy marriage.
Happy
Listen,
marriage. Happy
communicate.
marriage.
Come
And this
on.
happy new year.
Practice.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.